You know, it's been a while since I have talked this glowingly about Rasmus Ristolainen, but today in this video we're actually going to do it. Now we're going to look at this from a couple points of view. Rasmus Ristolainen has been involved in trade rumors from quite a few insiders now. Now this is actually dating back to the start of this season, but it seems to be heating up right now. Pierre LeBrun has recently linked the Winnipeg Jets to Rasmus Ristolainen. Now, I'm going to have a little bit of a skeptical take on this one, in my opinion, because I want to talk about Ristolainen, just the player first. He has been better this season. Honestly, I've been actually keeping an eye on him in Philadelphia, and Pierre LeBrun actually touched on this as well, that like he has been improving his play this season. He's been actually quite impressive, and that contract was supposed to be it was a burden for a while, and any Flyers fan will tell you that. I mean, it just was. But he's been logging like 20 minutes. If you look at it, I'll put the information up on the screen now. He's been logging like 20 minutes for the Flyers. Like, he's not been a scrub there. Now, when analyzing a player, I tend to look at a player's history. Like, I know there's going to be people, maybe Flyers fans in this, that really like Ristolainen or want to keep him or whatever, or you want to think positively about your team, but you really should analyze this from a perspective of the history of the player. Just because a player is having a good season does not, you should still look at his history for what he generally is, okay? Generally speaking, Ristolainen has been a difficult player to constantly put in the lineup. Like, he struggled, in my opinion, when I used to watch him constantly, he certainly seems to struggle in his own zone. He struggles. I mean, well, he's okay with breakouts. He's not particularly the most offensive defenseman either, and this is this year. So I still look at him like that unless there's like multiple seasons of him performing up to a high top four type level. Now, another point here too is that he's 30 years old, right? He is 30. Like, he's not a young guy, and you have to look at that. Like, is this really what he is? Is he really like a consistent top four defenseman? I'm not convinced. Now, when it comes to the Winnipeg Jets, perhaps you could make the argument that maybe he would look good there because, you know, they have a better roster. I mean, they just do. They're having a pretty damn good season. I mean, they're literally number one in their division. They have like 51 points. And you could make the argument that, like, if you bring a player like that in and he continues to perform at that for the length of his contract, perhaps it's a low value get. You understand what I mean? So, like, okay, so they got him for almost nothing. Now, obviously, that depends on what they give up. But perhaps the Winnipeg Jets are logically thinking about him just being like a low-cost get, whereas other right-hand shot D is going to cost you a certain amount, but this one just won't really, so then, hey, who cares, right? Like, you're not giving up a lot. Now, the elephant in the room here is that his cap hit is like $5.1 million. So there's going to be Jets fans that are going to comment on this, and they're going to be right, where they're going to say, the guy makes $5, you got to retain salary, right? And then there's going to be Flyers fans that are going to be saying, hell no, we want to get rid of that contract. You know what I mean? Which they should want to get rid of that contract, in my opinion. Like, yes, he's having a good season, but you want to get rid of that contract if you have a chance, 100% of the contract with no retained salary. And let's remember, he is in year 3 of 5 of this contract, okay? He absolutely could go back to what he is, and then you have a number 5 defenseman that's not very good defensively, that's struggling. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm very skeptical of this rumor from the Winnipeg Jets standpoint. Everybody has their bias, if you understand what I mean. So I'm looking at this from a biased standpoint. I've never been a big fan of Ristolainen. I understand there's going to be people that always had a good season. I get it. I've never been like a big proponent of him. Let's put it that way. Actually, I remember the Maple Leafs were rumored to be interested in him a bunch of times, and I was like, yeesh. I was like, they desperately needed a right-hand shot D, but then they went ahead and got John Klingberg, God forbid, which was, that didn't really work out, if you understand what I mean. I don't know. I just think I'm a big believer that the history of a player shows all. Again, although I will say, like, maybe it would work out for the Jets. Like, maybe they do have a situation where it just really, really works out for them. And, maybe they got a top 4D and they could give up almost nothing. He has 2 more years left, which isn't that bad, right? Like, but, I mean, again, remember, let's not forget, that contract was viewed as a burden for a reason, right? It's not a strange thing that was viewed as a burden for years and years and years after he signed that contract. Like, if you're going to do it from Winnipeg's point of view, I would straight up just say, hey, listen, we'll take him, but we're not going to give much. And you might argue that even though he's having a good year, the Flyers still might have to give something because of his history, right? And then from the Flyers' point of view, if I was the Flyers, I'd be trying to trade him like crazy. And it's actually a smart idea to trade him when he is at his highest value. This is one thing that pisses me off when teams don't understand valuations between players. When you have a player that, like, clearly is, you trade him when his value is high. I said the same thing. Let's take Nick Robertson, for example, from the Maple Leafs. Trade him when his value is high. If he goes on a little bit of a scoring streak, if you're going to trade him at that point. You know what I mean? Now, not all the fans like to hear that because they're like, oh, he was just starting to perform for us, so we don't like that you're trading him or whatever, which is actually fair. It's just, it's like a stock, man. Sell it when it's high. Sell it when it's high. That's my opinion anyway. Anyways, I just wanted to cover this NHL trade rumor from Pierre LeBrun. If you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, I would really, really appreciate that. And have a great day, guys. Goodbye.